I've got an email taking you to task, and I hate to do this and kick a man when he's down, but you deserve this for this. Wait till you will be suitably chastened when you hear the content of this email from William, no last name given. That's exactly what it says. Dear Jim, having just listened to the Drive-Thru the other day, and if you don't, folks, why in the world do you listen to this show and not that? For people who like that kind of thing, that's more the kind of thing you people like. After listening to Drive-Thru and hearing the conversation digress to discussing pizza, and specifically Evansville, Indiana pizza, I was intrigued. But after hearing Brian's casual dismissal of Evansville pizza, I quote, I don't want New York City pizza. I want pizza from Evansville. Get out of here. I would like to send a blow it out your ear to him, although I think with what you've been doing lately, ass may be more apropos. But I'm too nice a person to do that, William says. I was born and raised in Evansville, Indiana, and our local pizza scene is phenomenal. I was fortunate enough to live within walking distance from the Rock-A-Bar when I was a kid some 30 years ago now, so I'm well acquainted with their pizza, which was simply fantastic. I knew it was good, but I hadn't realized how much of a reputation that place had until I was watching an episode of WWF Superstars some sleepy Saturday morning in the 90s, and during some forgettable match, I heard you singing the praises of Rock-A-Bar Pizza to a skeptical Jim Ross. I remember it because it's one of the few times that Evansville has ever been mentioned on a national television show in a positive light. I've been to New York and Chicago and have had their signature pizzas, and I'd put the Rock-A-Bar Pizza up against any of those any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So I would like to humbly request that the not-so-great Brian Last, the mediocre Brian Last, the Pizza Putz Brian Last, do some research before writing off Evansville pizza without apparently even trying it. That's what William says.
Would you like me to respond?
Well, please do.
On behalf of myself and everyone else up here in civilization, in the New York, New Jersey area, where we have stellar pizza everywhere you turn, the best pizza in the country, some may say the best pizza in the world, you could take Evansville and stick it up your ass.
Hey!
I shouldn't say anything until I try it. Guess what? I'm never going to try it. I'm never going to Evansville, Indiana.
Well, you know what? You might not have to. Because some enterprising person, because I had somebody do it for me one time. Charlie Shearer, this guy used to go to the matches years ago, and he would volunteer, help take tickets and things. I mean, he didn't need a job. He was a very successful man, but he just liked wrestling. And he actually, he's gone now, sadly enough. But when I was living in Connecticut, he dry iced me a couple of Rock-A-Bar pizzas one time. Just because I was, had mentioned to him on the phone, we'd happen to talk. I said, oh, God, I hate it up here. But anyway, but Brian, let me ask you that. What makes the pizza up there so special? Is because it's authentically Italian, the Italian sections, and they make it by hand and all that stuff. Is that what it is?
I think that's part of it. I think the water is a major part of it. That's the
water.
The water.
Good God.
Believe it or not. But that's one of the big...
You can stick a spoon up right in a glass of your New York water.
That's one of the big things you hear from people that leave New York and move to Florida, and they can't get a good bagel, and they can't get a good slice of pizza. The big difference is the water used in the dough. Of course, the authenticity of the people making the pizza is a big deal, although I gotta say, you go to New York City, you can get some really good dollar slices that are made by Mexicans.
Oh, good God. I've had those dollar slices. It's like a piece of roofing shingle. I'm telling you, as I said, New York pizza, just because it's in New York, is not a stamp of approval. If it's a nice place, a nice restaurant, I'm sure the pizza's nice. But some of those fucking shops on the corner, I wouldn't feed that shit to Harley Quinn. She'd have intestinal distress.
And then you can write a song about it.
And we'll like to hear it. Here it goes. Oh, my God. Oh. But here's the thing. Let me explain to you the history of the Rock-A-Bar in Evansville. Now, I must admit now, for people who are going to flock there, I was over in Evansville 4 or 5 years ago and stopped by the same old location, and it wasn't what I remember because of what I will tell you now shortly here. but it's still pretty goddamn good.
Is it named after Antonino Rocca?
No, there's only one C, ROCA, the Rocca Bar. But in Evansville, Indiana, in the late 70s, on a Wednesday night after the matches at the Coliseum down on Court Street, the same building where it's still open, and they'd had wrestling there in the 19-teens. It was like the Coliseum in Evansville and the Louisville Gardens are probably the oldest continuous wrestling buildings in the country. Anyway, on a Wednesday night, by the time you got out, the show's over at 5 or 10 minutes to 10. By the time that, all the box office is counted up and the merchandise is packed up and everything, and you get in your car and you go somewhere to get something to eat, it's 10:30. Well, the Rocca Bar was down, I think was it on Kentucky Street? Oddly enough, you'd think I'd remember that. But anyway, it was adjacent to downtown, only a short distance away from the Coliseum. And their kitchen was open till, in those days, 11 o'clock. But once we became regulars and they expected us, they'd be open till we got there. And it was always Christine Jarrett and whoever was driving her. It might be Sammy Malone, might be her niece Donna. The ladies that help take tickets and sell tickets, Bernadine Sutherland, and sometimes the Gaddy family and various other people. They had one time Lawler's birthday party came on a Wednesday night. He was in Evansville, and I'm sure he loved being there on his birthday. And the crew there threw him a birthday party, and Tojo had to come because Tojo was riding with him. He's like, I don't want to, you can see on his face, I don't want to be fucking sitting here at Lawler's birthday party with a bunch of fucking ticket takers. But anyway, I digress. My mom and myself and sometimes some of the boys would go get something to eat. So they became used to us and we had the run of the place. But the reason why the pizza was so good, it was a thin crust pizza that they don't cut into triangles like they do up there like savages. They, like down here in the Midwest, they cut them into rectangle pieces. And every single one of those rectangles on a sausage pizza, they didn't just grind the sausage up and sprinkle it all over. It had a little sausage ball. And the sausage was homemade because the old couple that owned the place, their name was Casalavecchio. His name was Evie, her name was Evie. His name was, oh my God, was it? I can't remember. Possibly Tony Casalavecchio. But this fucking guy ground his own sausage, made his own dough. I think they made their own, sauce. Everything was done by hand. This little place, and they just did great sandwiches and pizza and stuff like that. And it was a labor of love. And obviously, that was 40 years ago, and the guy was 60 then. So unless he's some kind of goddamn genetic freak, he ain't grinding that sausage anymore. So now, and they've opened up another location from what I hear in addition to the original one and et cetera. But I'm sure it's not the same, just like nothing is the same as it used to be. But I'll have you know I would put that pizza up from 1979 up against any of your Yankee pizzas.
Oh, give me a break. Who wants sausage on their pizza?
What?
Sounds awful.
What the fuck? You build the pizza around the sausage.
No.
What?
Cheese, sauce, crust. That's it.
What?
That's it. Not even extra cheese.
No. You've got sausage and bacon and pepperoni and onions and green peppers and mushrooms.
That's not pizza.
What the? You are seriously going to sit there and explain to me that you're eating cheese pizza with no toppings?
Yes, as we call it up here, pizza. That is what I'm eating. And the sauce is the most important part.
Oh, good God. Oh, good God.
Sausage and meats. Get out of here. You like pineapple on it too?
Oh, for heaven's sake. No. I had that one time, and I spent the whole flight back from California in the airplane toilet puking and shitting at the same time. And it got messy depending on which end was up. But back up a minute. You got cheese pizza is dough and fucking cheese. There's nothing wrong with cheese, but it's just sitting on the dough. The cheese needs to be nestled around all that meaty goodness.
It's sitting on the sauce, which is on the dough.
The sauce is just there to kind of grease up the meat and the cheese to help it slide down your throat easier. What in, oh my God, the one time you'll eat cheese and then you don't want any meat on it? Just like you eat meat, but you don't want cheese on it?
That's
what
right.
kind of fucking alien are you? You're one of the invaders.
I don't have an answer for that.
I have never eaten a piece of pizza that didn't involve some kind of meat on it. To give it, that's your main course. A pizza without meat is just a bunch of side fucking dishes.
So I'm eating pizza and you're eating rectangled slices of cheese and meat.
And homemade good old pork sausage goodness and delicious cheese and onions to give it some oomph.
Oh,
and sprinkle.
God.
Oh, and the mushrooms. That adds, there you got your vegetables without even knowing it.